The answer's actually simple and it's remarkably boring, and it's not what people want to hear because it's not a magic bullet, but it's just consistency. You got 80% of agents sitting in an office hoping that their phone will ring. We've got an agent, Ganesh in Dunedin, sold 100 houses in the last 12 months. Consistently communicating with vendors by working a database effectively. From day one, even though you're inexperienced, focus on generating appraisals and getting listings because they're the things that are going to pay the most.
Today, I'm with Sam McIntyre, a real estate business owner that works with top performing real estate teams every single day. In this episode, you'll learn what $1 million agents actually do and why it's remarkably boring, how to stop wasting time and instead focus on dollar productive activities without burning yourself out, and how to build a point of difference that vendors actually care about, so you never have to compete on fees again. Right, let's dive into the podcast.
You should focus on dollar productive activities and everything else is a waste of time. If I do this $30 an hour task, I'm losing $150 an hour because I'm worth $180. Do I think that if I text message every single vendor in my database with nearby local sales results every week, will I get one extra listing that I sell as a result? Yes. Hell yes. Give yourself some sort of point of difference, an unfair advantage, so you're playing on a field by yourself rather than with all the competitors in your marketplace, because you are the only person doing whatever it is. And Tom Ferry had a great framework for dreaming up what these things might be. What's an offer, a promise, a claim, or a guarantee that you can make that nobody else in your market is making or can make?
This episode is brought to you by Real Growth. If you're an agent who wants more listings, more income, and you want the exact strategies you can use to achieve success, you're in the right place. I'm Ben Hawkey, and this is the Real Growth Podcast. I want this conversation to be super practical for everyone listening. And I want to really focus on what separates a $1 million agent from the other agents, and what agents can do if they're listing that could help them double their income, moving into 2026. So anyway, Sam, thanks for joining me.
You're welcome, man. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, man. So let's kick things off. You've seen real estate from multiple angles now, like I said, as an agent, a business owner. When you look at the industry, the real estate industry in New Zealand today, how do you think about the real estate business differently to most agents?
That's a hell of a question, man. How do I think of the industry?
How do you think of the real estate industry differently to the average agent who might be just getting into it?
Yeah, I mean, with time comes experience and, practical things that you've gone through and things that you've seen and tools that you put in your belt. So I guess compared to someone new or early, you build tools and you learn things along the way and you tinker along the way as well. And all of those things add experience. And then with an overall picture, you form your view of the industry. And I guess everybody forms a different view of the industry based on their experiences. So where you go, what you do, what wins you've had, what challenges you've had. So I think everybody sort of sees things in a different way. I guess one thing that I have had the whole way through is an eagerness to learn, continue to learn, be a student of the game, and also challenge norms right from the start. Just because someone tells you to do something a certain way or this just happens like this in real estate, I always wanted to challenge that. That's naturally within my personality to do that. So, when you're doing that rather than going along with what people tell you should do or how it should be done, then you get slightly different results and form a different view of the industry.
I don't know, in the podcast we've talked about, how you got started and all that. And today I just want to focus on, some key takeaways for agents. So in your experience, working with agents at different stages in their careers, what are the biggest differences between agents that are doing, say, $1 million plus and say the 95% who aren't quite achieving that? What do you see the biggest differences are?
The answer's actually simple and it's remarkably boring, and it's not what people want to hear because it's not a magic bullet, but it's just consistency. Like when you boil down results of $1 million agent versus someone who's just going average, like this is a pretty fair game. You do the work, you get opportunities. Do something, get a reward for it. Whether you convert that opportunity or not's another story, but it's a pretty fair game. And if you're consistently doing activity, you will consistently get opportunity. And this is the thing, like you got 80% of agents sitting in an office hoping that their phone will ring. Well, how? Why? Why is someone going to ring you? What have you done to deserve a call? Where are you being seen? What activity have you taken to actually prompt someone to call you? It doesn't happen, like you got to be doing the work for starters. And there's too many people sitting in offices just hoping that their career is going to take off and they're going to do well and have a good life that aren't doing the work. So, for starters, it's a very fair game. Do the work, get opportunities as a result. So, there's no single winning formula. And if there was, we'd all be retired, because you just follow that playbook and you'd just do it. But what the single winning formula is I've boiled it down over time. Consistently communicate with vendors in some way, shape, or form. Consistently communicate with vendors in some way, shape, or form. Now, like we've got an agent, Ganesh in Dunedin, sold 100 houses in the last 12 months. Consistently communicating with vendors by working a database effectively. You'll know this well. Connect, and he's used your database cleaning tool, and he is like a master database nurturer. So he knows every single person in the database. He knows all his current buyers. He knows all of that stuff. But the other way he consistently communicates with people, and this will surprise people, he's selling 100 houses a year. Flyer drops. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of flyer drops. We're talking thousands a week. Thousands a week. And you'd think, oh, he'll just be paying people to go and drop them. No, him and Renee, who's a sales associate, co-listing agent, whatever you'd like to call it, they pound the pavement. They put the flyers in the letterboxes in the farming area over and over and over again with different messages on over and over again. And if there's someone's at the letterbox, they're talking to them. If they can spot that something's being renovated, they're taking note of that. So that's like not a remarkable thing to do, right? Oh, just deliver 3,000 flyers a week over and over and over again, rain, hail, shine, winter, summer, spring, autumn, consistently for years and years and years. Oh, but that sounds like hard work. Yeah, but you'll be $1 million agent. But that sounds like hard work. Oh, no, it's raining today. Oh, I'm not feeling 100%. Oh, I'm lacking motivation. No, like just consistency. And that's like just one example. Another example of consistency might be Caleb in Christchurch. His digital game is on fire. Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, YouTube, like he just owns it and he's just consistent. He's got pillars, content pillars that he's always doing, whether it's for properties, whether it's a monthly thing, whether it's a weekly activity, and he will just do that consistently over and over and over again. And, some people might start that and they might go, yeah, but I only got 26 views and I've only got 13 followers. Yeah, consistency will get you more. Someone else might be like the boys sold on Kapiti in their first year of real estate. We had a plan, we had a strategy. We took them to 72 sales in their first year from unknown. And it was like, let's just go all in on video and own it. Let's do all of these videos that are going to create attention, attract awareness, and then get us opportunities. And that was just like consistent. It would be a market update. It would be a community video with another local business. It would be top quality content for listings, sold, case studies, vendor testimonials, like all of these sorts of things. So, like what I'm saying is, it's not just you have to door knock to be successful. It's not just you have to cold call to be successful. It's not just nurturing a database. It's not just flyers. It's something consistently and knowing that that's not going to pay off for a long time, probably for a long time, but in the long run, you'll win because you're doing the activity that gets you the opportunity, regardless of what that activity is. Good on you if you're cold calling and door knocking. I would never cold call or door knock. But if that's your thing, go out, do it well, be consistent at it, and you'll win.
Yeah. I was talking to an
So that
agent
was
the
a
other day, and he door knocks a lot. And he just said, hey, every door knock, 8 out of 10 door knocks, he'll always get their number and permission to send them a text about what's selling in the area. He's just saying, hey, we just sold this property, or we just listed this property up the street. Would you like me to update you on what the property sells for? While he's almost turning and walking away, he just feels like he's updating them. And they say, yeah, why not? Cool, can I grab your number? And he's adding them to the database. So when you see some people who pay huge money to buy leads, he's adding 20 people to his database every time he goes door knocking, just because he's saying, hey, would you like me to keep you up to date with what it sells for and what other properties are selling for in your area? So, but he does it consistently. Same thing as you're saying.
Yeah, I guess it makes it a hell of a lot easier when you're adding value, because people do want to know what that property sold for. It is adding a benefit to them. They are nosy. They want to go and have a little sneaky peek, but they feel too embarrassed to go and do it. So if you're actually inviting them to come along to the open home, even though they're not buying, just if they're wanting to compare or be nosy, and do they want to know the sale result before anyone else finds out? Yeah, I do, actually, if
Also,
I'm a homeowner. So if you're consistently communicating with people whilst adding value, then you super boost it. A boring flyer that tells me nothing and benefits me not at all is not as valuable as something that's telling me something that benefits me. It'll still work, but the effectiveness will be different. So the other
yes.
thing, to complete your question, I guess, is that the internal motivation or drive of $1 million agent is different to somebody else that's just doing average. This person doesn't have to be pulled out of bed, doesn't have to be told what to do, doesn't have to be motivated or inspired by others. It's inside. So if I looked at all of the $1 million agents that I've ever known or worked with or talked to, the single most uh, the single biggest driver of these people would be competitiveness. So so
Yeah.
they want to win. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that's like lighting the fire within, that they hate losing the appraisal to somebody else.
Before we move on with the episode, I just want to share something genuinely useful, especially if you're a real estate agent or a real estate business owner. Now, after analyzing over 2,000 property listing campaigns, we found something most agents miss. 20 to 30% of buyer inquiries are coming from local homeowners. And around 10% of those homeowners go on to sell their own property within the next 12 months, which means your future listings are often already sitting amongst those buyer inquiries. You just don't know who they are and how to uncover those opportunities. And that's why we created the Level Up Listing Toolkit. It's a free resource we have created that will show you how to identify those homeowners, nurture them properly, and ultimately convert them into future listings. You can download the toolkit by clicking the link in the show notes below, or if you're on Instagram or Facebook, just comment the word toolkit and we'll send it directly to you. All right, back to the episode.
They want to win first in the office or first in the area or whatever. So that's an extremely strong driver that I've seen over indexes for $1 million agents. That's not saying that it has to be that. Like I've seen agents, and if I talk about consistently communicating with people and adding value to people, Wendy and Nelson Tasman, that I've worked with for a long, long time, her thing was community involvement and support. So sponsoring all sorts of things, being the center of the community, those sorts of things. She would not be driven by winning primarily. She would be driven by the strong desire to help people and do the right thing by people, a desire to serve. And that would be like your second category of people. These people that feel so strong about, I just want to help as many people as I possibly can. So I'd say first is like winning, recognition, that sort of motivation. And second is a strong, genuine desire to help people. And those people are amazing human beings. You're coming from that sort of point. It's like, you're an amazing human being. I like you and I want to work with you because I can feel that you want to help me. So why would I not?
Yeah.
So they would be
Yeah.
the other. So consistently communicating with people whilst adding value if you can. And then the internal motivators. People talk about their why and all these sorts of things. So those things are strong drivers for these people. I guess they know their why. Like the competitive ones, their why is because they want to win. It's not about the money. I just want to be first. come first and earn less than second and earn more. And the why for those other people of getting some sort of benefit from helping others and feeling good doing that.
Yeah, uh, it makes complete sense. And when I look at the agents that are successful throughout New Zealand, those things that you talk about, the consistency and also the desire to win, you can definitely see that in them, even if you don't know them that well. One of the things I'd be keen to touch on is like, where do you see most agents, I guess, unintentionally sabotage their success, if that makes sense? And it might be like spending time on the wrong things that aren't actually moving the needle. Like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but where do you think people, they think they're doing the right thing by doing something, but they're actually sabotaging their own success? Can you think of anything there that you're
Yeah,
like,
I
oh,
mean,
this is a very common thing?
yeah, initial thought that comes to my mind, and it's born from the traditional model, and it's born from, so we're talking to sort of the newer agent, maybe an agent inside the first 3 years or so. I think the traditional model teaches these people to go out and service buyers and try and sell other agents' listings. And for one reason or another, that serves that model, and it makes them less of a threat as they come in. And yeah, it gives them a chance of working on something that actually could pay off. But I think that if that, and say I'm new and I come in and I'm told to do that, so I do that, and this is what most new people do. So they're offering to do things for busy agents. I'll run your open home in exchange for getting those buyers and working them and try and sell them a listing of ours. But the thing is with that is it's not very focused, and it's not, doesn't have a high return. So when you look at the traditional model as an example, there's the fee, right? And then there's the franchise fee off the top, which leaves maybe 90% left over. And then that 90% is split 50-50 between the local office and then the selling people. And then that little bit left, maybe 45% of the total fee, is split between a listing agent and a selling agent. And the listing agent gets more naturally because that's where the value is, bringing in the listing. Selling agent gets a little bit. So you're working these buyers for a long time. You're chasing around after them. You're trying to take them to every bloody property. And you're with Harcourts, and then Ray White lists a property that's suited to them, and the buyer just goes and buys it. The buyer doesn't care who they buy it with. They just want the right home. And even though you've bent over backwards and taken them out for lunch and showed them every property under the sun, they buy with somebody else. So you've spent all this time and got no return on it. If you did manage to get that sale for some miracle, the property got listed with Harcourts that was ideal for them, and they phoned you because you told them to phone you and not the listing agent, which sometimes doesn't happen. They just contact the listing agent.
Mm.
Then you're getting paid a tiny amount, right? So you're having to do a large volume of those to be able to actually earn a decent amount of income. And you're spending the majority of your time focusing on doing that to try and get that small amount of income. So I flip the script and go, man, from day one, even though you're inexperienced, focus on generating appraisals. Focus on generating appraisals and getting listings, because they're the things that are going to pay the most. Most of the time, you'll list and sell your own because the buyer's coming from the marketing that you're running. So you're getting paid a lot bigger chunk for starters, but you're doing things that are like more focused, more targeted, more in control, and the outcome's more in your own control. So I would say that's like a big trap. And then I would say, yeah, doing the wrong things. I already touched on consistency, which is what I would probably say my other trap is, that people will do something and it won't work straight away. Like, I'm going to start delivering flyers, and I didn't get a call from the flyers that I delivered last week. Well, what's the chance Mrs. Vendor woke up and thought, I'm deciding to sell my house today. That's good timing. There's a flyer in my letterbox. No, they're thinking about it for months and months and months. And the first flyer gets thrown out. The second flyer gets thrown out. The third flyer goes on the fridge because I'm thinking more about it. You know, the the 12th flyer, oh, yeah, now it's time.
Yeah.
So starting off on something, having good intentions, and then just cutting it. So, and I've talked about my need for innovation and challenging the norms. But actually, when I started in real estate, I did some traditional things as well. I just did them on a large scale. So, for example, Newspaper was big back then. Those papers are probably gone now, but newspapers were big back then, and agents would sometimes put a little ad in the newspaper promoting themselves. Well, I just went full page newspapers to be different, to challenge the norm. Like, I'm going all in on this. Yes, I was
And did
doing
consistently.
other things, but I did it consistently, and I did it for 4 months at full page every week, right? Which was an eye-watering amount because they way overcharged for the value that they bought. And I was at the point of nearly giving up. And then in 1 week, I got 2 listings in 1 week, and they'd pulled out snippets from the newspaper. And I could, because I used to change them. I used to run them for a while and then change, run them for a while, change. And I could track one of them back at least into the first month and the other one back into the second month. And it was, one was in a drawer and one was on the fridge, and they pulled them out. And I was like, I nearly gave up, I nearly gave up because I didn't know anything. I had no mentor. I had no training, no nothing. I was just making it up as I went along. And I got to that point of nearly giving up. And then obviously I got presented some evidence to say, yep, consistency.
Yeah. And that's with lots of things, whether it's like, I noticed that when people are running marketing campaigns and then they get their first listing and they're all in on, they get the purpose of digital. They might have been thinking, oh, maybe is this worth it? Is it what? And then they get their listing and they go, actually this is worth it. And then, 5 years later, they're still running marketing online. So it's just, sticking to it, isn't it? Long enough to see the results. People often pull the pin way too early.
I'd also say like a scattergun approach is okay at the start. Like if you're sitting here and you want to reset and you want to try something new, you can go out and do 5 different things and see what's feeling right for you. But you want to go all in on 1 or 2. You don't want to be trying to do a little bit of a lot. You want to go, I'm gonna own this lane and do this lane. But it might take you doing a few things if you don't have self-awareness. It might take you doing a few things to realize what you like and don't like. Like you might have to go and knock 100 doors to go, this really isn't me. Or do however many cold calls to go, oh, this isn't me. Or whatever it is, make a video and feel like, nah, this isn't my lane. But you want to find your lane and just stick in it and go and own it.
Yeah.
Those things don't have to be remarkable.
Consistency. And but you said consistently, like if we're looking at like what top agents do differently when it comes to what they spend their time on, because like working hard and being consistent is key, but at a certain point you can't work any harder or you can't be any. So like where do you see agents, they want to double their business, they're going to need to start spending time on more important things than other things. Like what do you think agents should be doing if they've only got 12 hours of the day? What should they be doing? What shouldn't they be doing as they want to grow?
It's also no secret, is it? And it's not remarkable either, is it, Ben? That you should focus on dollar productive activities and everything else is a waste of time. Or reframe it and go, if I do this $30 an hour task, I'm losing $150 an hour because I'm worth $180. So it's very unusual for $1 million agent or one of the top agents to not have a team or not have some form of support. And those people are the operation engine. They're doing the admin. They're doing all the mundane things that naturally a salesperson isn't really good at anyway, because the top salesperson is a certain personality profile that's not the organizer, the admin person, the structured type of person. Usually, the majority of the time, they're I'm going to go out and sell some stuff and it'll all work out. So having a team behind them is nearly essential, and making that step before you feel like you need that is a big one. Like, put it on the line, roll the dice, take the risk, and get that person before you feel like the wheels are falling off. Because if you wait till the wheels are falling off, it's actually going to slow you up, because the wheels will fall off and then you'll hire and then you have to train and then put systems in place. And that's going to take a lot of time and energy, and it's going to take away that momentum. So actually, as you're on the way up and not even feeling like you need it yet, put your cards on the table, get it done, and hire that person. Having the mouth to feed will be extra motivation to go out and consistently do the work that you need to do. It's like, oh, I've got such and such to pay. I need to hustle. I need to go and make it happen. And when you do it, you won't know yourself. Like,
Yeah.
and big disclaimer here, you've got to recruit well. You don't just go, oh, I'm getting so busy and, oh, I know this person, they want a job and I'll chuck them in because and too many people do this. They get to the point where it's starting to get a bit shaky and the wheels could be falling off, and then they throw anyone in. And that's even worse than not throwing the person in, because they get the wrong person and they're all the time and energy on bringing that person up to speed. And then they're not the right fit, they're not cut out for the job, or they don't like the job because they're not the right personality profile, then you start again. And the thing that I see that plateaus their business or slows it down or even declines their business, these $1 million agents, is if there is a change in that department, like a key operational person, an EA, a PA, an operations manager, or one of those types of people leaves that role and they have to rehire for it, retrain, and integrate that person back into the team. That's the biggest thing that slows people down. But I guess the advice there is take the leap early before you feel like you need it. If you're on the way up, back yourself.
And who should they be best? What's the best position to hire for initially? Should they be hiring someone in the office? Should they hire someone remotely, part-time? What do you think? Who's the best hire? Or does it depend?
Look, it really depends on the business, but if I'm generalizing, it's an in-person operations admin EA type person as your first hire. And it's just taking away. So when you and look, a really, really, like, I would want to scratch my eyeballs out before I did this, but this is the thing to do, is 7-day, almost 15-minute block by 15-minute block, 7 days in a row. And in those blocks, enter what you are doing. Listing presentation, appraisal presentation, preparation, travel, buyer visit, photography shoot, building inspection, pre-settlement, key handover, whatever the things that you are doing in there, you can pull that sheet and go, okay, I'm going to highlight, if you want to do it manually, I'm going to highlight everything that makes me money. Am I appraising, listing, negotiating, holding deals together, or prospecting when it needs my voice, my face, myself, networking, whatever it would be doing? Dollar productive activities versus non-dollar productive activities. Now, you're not going to be able to remove some of the non-dollar productive activities. You're going to have travel time. That's not a dollar productive thing that you need to be able to go and do an appraisal. But there will be admin, there will be follow-up, there will be opening a door for a valuer, a builder, there will be a key handover, there will be all of these things, responding to emails, buyer inquiries that don't actually need me. There will be a truckload. And to start with, those are the things. Does this thing make me money? Is it listing, appraising, negotiating, holding a deal together, or some form of business lead generation that needs me physically?
Yeah. Makes sense. And I think that a lot of agents I'm seeing now are going directly to the Philippines to get a PA or whatever it might be. And so it's great to hear your opinion that, hey, actually having someone in person to, like you said, open the door or be there handing over keys is actually a lot more productive, and they might cost you a little bit more. But there's probably ways around that as well. Maybe sharing an EA for a period of time. I don't know if you agree, if that's a good idea, but maybe if you can't afford it, you share it with someone. There's lots of different ways of doing it. What are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't share, but I'd perhaps start as a part-time with a view
Part
to
time.
expand
Yeah.
the hours as you grow. Look, I have a
Yeah.
lot of experience with the offshore stuff, a lot of experience. Like, we ran an offshore PA team for some of the only partners, and we spent a huge amount of time, and we had our operations manager overseeing that team and setting up standard operating procedures and breaking down the transaction piece by piece, and monthly activities and per activity activities, like every listing thing, every sale thing. And so the biggest issue with the offshore, and yes, you can save 2/3, right? If you're going through a company, they charge a little bit more because they're taking a cut. You can probably save 2/3 on a Kiwi PA. But the biggest issue is, and I spoke to the largest, while we were doing our research to see if we used a third party or bought it in house and did it on our own, I spoke to the largest real estate recruiter for offshore, and his retention rate was so low, like 90% would
Mm,
drop the PA. And it all comes down to, if you think about it, it's the agent's fault. It's not the offshoring company's fault, because they can control so much and they can have processes and things. But what agent knows exactly what they need? What agent knows exactly their process for every single thing? What agent knows the standard operating procedure and has that documented for every single step of the way? That's the level that you need when you're offshoring. They need it on a platter. They need, okay, this happens, so I need to do X, Y, and Z, and this is how I do X, Y, and Z. And no agent has that. And it takes time to develop that and build that, and working with someone at the start. And it's like, oh, how come you're not doing what I need you to do? Well, they don't know that they need to do that. But it's a real issue. And they just don't provide the in-person. Naturally, they're in the Philippines or wherever they are. They can't go and, make sure that you've given the key to this person, or open the door for that thing, or, attend a handover and give the gift, or whatever. I don't know, put a sold sticker up, whatever you might have. They can't do those things. So those things fall on you. Those things are real hours. You're worth $200 an hour. No, just pay 25, 30, 32 an hour to someone who's going to be able to take care of those things for you. What happens a lot of the time, people go, oh, but that's a risk. And I'm going to spend, let's say they're hiring a part-time person, 20 hours a week, $30 an hour. And what's that? You do that $600 a week, 600, 1200, 2,400 a month. And then let's go to 12 months. Let's go, my maths are terrible. So 24,000 plus another. So you $28,000, right? For a 20-hour a week. So let's say, okay, so I'm Sam and I'm a listing and selling agent and I'm busy, and all of a sudden I buy myself 20 hours a week more for the cost of $28,000-ish. Let's 30, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm in a market where the average house sale is 800,000 at 3%, which is $24,000 for one fee. I'm getting fleeced by my traditional agency, plug. So I'm getting half of that. Say I'm needing to sell 2 extra properties a year-ish to break even on my PA. Okay, so if I'm spending 20 hours a week on dollar productive activity, let's say I spend my whole 20 hours a week that I'm buying back on prospecting. What happens to my business? Do I get 2 extra listings that I sell? %. So break it down into that. What's my PA going to cost me per year? How many sales do I need to make extra to pay for my PA? Okay, it's 2, it's 3. I mean, depending on what market, depending on how many hours your PA is, what you're paying them, and so on, it's very few extra sales. Plus, I might have a life. I might not work from when I wake up to when I go to sleep. I might not have to stress about being on my phone every single minute and miss out on my young children growing up, or whatever the thing is. No-brainer.
No-brainer. Yeah, it makes complete sense. And thanks for breaking it down for people. Like, it becomes a no-brainer when you break it down. Okay, I need to sell 3 extra properties to break even. Well, I think I'm going to get, if I get half my time back, I'm going to probably sell another 10. So it's a no-brainer.
You've got to do this with everything. Ben, what does Connect cost for a year for a premium subscription for Connect?
$900.
Call it $1,000. Okay. If my average amount that I'm getting paid, half of the, or less than half of the whatever I'm charging, is say $20,000, I can afford to use Connect for 12 years and get 1 sale as a result of using Connect for 12 years. Do I think that if I text message every single vendor in my database with nearby local sales results every week for 12 years, will I get 1 extra listing that I sell as a result? Should I pay the $900, $1,000 for Connect? Yes or no? Yes. Hell yes. So I think the logic is missing from a lot of these decisions, and it's like a rash. Oh, I've got no listings. I need to do something. I'll do this. Waste. Analyze it and go, if I do this for however long, when's my payback? What do I have to do to get a return? And there's no way, if you're doing the consistent activity on Connect, texting people in your database who you've already had an interaction with, they know you because they're on your database, every week with nearby sales. They're interested in nearby sales. If I do that every year, every week, every year for 12 years, I mean, something's terribly wrong.
Hey, if you're getting value from this conversation and you're the type of person who doesn't want to listen to good ideas, but you actually want to implement them, we've built something for you. Every podcast we record, we pull out the key strategies and turn them into done for you action plans, scripts, and templates. So instead of frantically scribbling notes or telling yourself, I'll come back to that later and never doing it, we're giving you the actual tools to go and implement what you're hearing right now. You can find all of this inside the Real Growth Listing Lab. Every guest, every episode, every strategy turned into something you can use to start growing your business tomorrow. Just click the link in the show notes. It'll only take 10 seconds. Right, let's get back into it.
Ganesh is using it. And before we wrap it up, Sam, talking about, Ganesh and doing his letterbox drops, his flyer drops, I think agents would have hearing that go, oh, what's he putting on his flyers? I just want to highlight for that. He's not just doing the same thing over and over again. So what's he doing differently that's, like you said, adding value and staying top of mind? Can you share a bit behind the scenes of what he's doing differently?
Sometimes over and over again, Ben. Sometimes
really
not remarkable, just activity. He's taken some tips from Josh Fegan. He's a big advocate of Josh Fegan and the courses that he runs. And Josh is a fan of really positioning yourself as an area specialist and saying that you're an area specialist. And I guess if you're farming an area and you're dropping a lot of things in that area, it becomes obvious that you're an area specialist. But one of the key things that he puts on there is that he is an area specialist. Look, the content changes, but there's no my
Magic
gosh, he created that content and he put that out. Of course he got so many listings. It's just very ordinary.
Consistency.
Consistent. Yeah.
So to wrap things up, if you could give one piece of advice to leave everyone with on the podcast today, what's one thing that would help them build a long-term, become $1 million agent? Are we going to go back to consistency, or is there anything else other than consistency that you would want to add as a kind of something that they really should be focusing on if they want to go to the next level?
Yeah, we've touched on some key things, right? Building out a team, being consistent, choosing one thing, going all in on it. And look, I'm going to harp on to something that I've gone on about for a long time, and probably last time we spoke, I would have said the same thing. It's along with all of those things, it's having a point of difference, some form of point of difference. And if that point of difference is valuable for the vendor, even better. So give yourself some sort of point of difference, an unfair advantage. So you're playing on a field by yourself rather than with all the competitors in your marketplace, because you are the only person doing whatever it is. And Tom Ferry had a great framework for dreaming up what these things might be. What's an offer, a promise, a claim, or a guarantee that you can make that nobody else in your market is making or can make? So the point of difference can be some big thing that adds value. The point of difference could be within the real estate company or model that you're in right now, although I think that many of them are much the same and they're all talking about their points of difference, but it's same. Or, when you get to this $1 million agent level, your point of difference could be results. I have X% market share in this area. I'm listing and selling more than anybody else. I'm having more conversations with buyers than anybody else. Ganesh's point of difference actually is that he uses his database so well and nurture and with the database cleaning service and stuff that when he goes into appraisals, he has the full list of every person who could be the buyer of this home that he already knows that he's already working with. So he's the only one going in there right now and going, hey, look, I've got 27 people that I know are looking for a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom within these 2 suburbs, within this price range. Targeted, guaranteed. I could call every one of these ones up as soon as we're live and get them to this property because I know that this is a match for them. But could be anything. Could be suburb specialization, could be market share, could be results like percentage over whatever, you're doing it at a higher rate than anybody else. It could be, there's brands in the marketplace that their point of difference is low fee. There's brands in the marketplace that have, say, a free marketing package. There's people that are not even competing on that, but they're going on premium marketing. So they might be charging twice the fee, but their marketing is premium. That's their point of difference. What's an offer, a promise, a claim, or a guarantee that you can make that nobody else is making? I guarantee to sell your home in 60 days with my proven sales method. Otherwise, I'll half my fee. And I understand there's not that flexibility at a lot of the traditional agencies to be able to make an offer like that. That's one example. When you list with me, I actually push your listing out to every single agent in the marketplace rather than just my office. So instead of getting just one agent or just the 8 agents in our office, actually I push it out to 120 agents in the marketplace. I'm the only agent that actively does this. Any agent from any agency can introduce a buyer and help us sell your property, and there's no extra cost to you. Oh, that's valuable. What is a point of difference that can set you apart? So on the point of difference, it's just like having an unfair advantage, playing a game by different rules, being on a completely different track or lane or field to everybody else, because everybody else is squabbling and fighting over here, whereas you've got this carrot that you can dangle with this unfair advantage that has. So when you're doing the flyer, when you're doing the door knock, when you're doing the cold call, when you're doing the video, when you're doing the social, you've actually got something cool to say. I'm the only agent that has this thing. If you list with me or if you get me in, I can do this for you. Nobody else is doing this. Like, what happens to your consistency and results and the conversion rates when you have that paired with the other things?
Yeah. And this, I resonate with that because we've just changed a few things within the real growth business. That gate is giving us an unfair advantage, if that makes sense. In the past, maybe we were just another marketing company. Now we're cleaning the data up, feeding it into the CRM, and allowing them to send out messages. So our point of difference compared to just a listing and selling marketing services, that we've got the full flywheel system. So I completely understand what you do. It just takes a bit of creative thinking around what you can do differently. So, and it makes, I think
you've also got the, the vendor funded ads, the digital campaigns that you run. There's a ton of marketing agencies that want to run those for you, but you're doing something with the leads. You're capturing the buyers, you're searching to see if they're potential vendors, and you're giving them back, which is like, that's valuable to me. One last thing that I'll say is, we talked about $1 million agents today. I'll be at NZRE in June, 22nd of June, and I will specifically be giving some incredible insights about $1 million agents. There's probably the largest survey of $1 million agents going out into the marketplace. We're gathering all of the data, all of the insights, and then we're presenting that data in a fun and engaging way to give full insights about what makes $1 million agents tick, how many team members they have, what their lead generation sources are, all of these things. That will be one hell of a presentation, and it will give data insights that no one has sort of given before. So shout out to Diego and the team. It's an incredible event there. I know you're a sponsor there, and I went last year and I was really impressed. It's the New Zealand version of ARIC, and we're sort of missing these independently run events in New Zealand, and I think it will be a banger. So try and get along to that for more insights.
I'm excited to see what those surveys say of those $1 million agents. So it'll be super interesting.
Tell you what we're going to do, and you know this, and this is hot off the scoop. We're going to be running it in a game show style to make it fun and engaging, and there will be real cash and prizes for the winners.
Like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style, almost.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style? Who Wants to Be a $1 million agent? Shall we call it that? There we go. It was born.
Awesome. Hey, Sam, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. I really appreciate your time. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best place for people to reach out?
Yeah, so our website, only.nz, or LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn, Sam McIntyre.
Before we finish, here are 2 simple actions you can take following today's episode. First, if you're a real estate agent focused on growing your real estate business, and you'd just like some clear guidance on what marketing and prospecting systems you should be focusing on so you can list more properties, make more money, and ultimately build a sustainable long-term real estate business. Simply click the link in the show notes and book a marketing roadmap call with either myself or the team. Or alternatively, if you're happy with the income you're making, please just hit the share button and share this episode with an agent in your office who might benefit from hearing it. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the next episode.